We are 57 million Kenyans. How many of us are they going to kill? How many will they kill? They will fire. We shall come with stones. They will come with bullets. How many bullets can they fire? And kill over 57 million Kenyans? Because, you receive threats. I'm 60 plus.
Yeah.
You can threaten me until I die. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay? They must stop harassing and intimidating media. Abductions must stop. This commando style of kidnapping people, in front of their children.
What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house, this is not so going. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.
A very good day to you and welcome to Philip Kisia Unscripted. My name is Jadiel Kabiro. It's a joy, it's an honor, it's a privilege to have you joining us this particular Thursday for this conversation. A conversation which we say we hope will help our political leaders in making better policy and political moves. If it's all about truthfulness with Philip Kisia. He's a leadership and governance expert, former Nairobi town clerk, ex-KICC CEO, founder trustee of KEPSA. He has done a lot for this country, and that's why we have these conversations with him. He says, if the truth shall kill them, as Immanuel Kant said, let them die. Philip Kisia, thanks for making time. How are you doing this particular day?
I mean, I'm good, Jed. Let them die.
Let them die.
Let them die.
If it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
Let them die.
but the truth.
Let them die.
What are your highlights for this week? We're back to highlights. What have you seen this week? What has captured your eye? What do you think Kenyans must know?
Jed, so many things are happening. In fact, I think it's becoming a problem catching up with what is happening. But there are two or three things that I would like to highlight this week. The first one, which took me by no surprise, is the letter written to the media houses. I don't know that you people have received one from Communications Authority of Kenya that is reminding people about Article 33, subsection 1, that guarantees freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Yeah, it is actually enshrined in our constitution. Then again, he talks about Article 33, subsection 2, I think. Subsection 2, which again, is a checkmate to subsection 1. Yeah, that forbids propaganda, hate speech, incitement, and all those things that are negative. To that extent, of course, we are all in agreement. We don't want to ban this country. This country is ours. The country belongs to all of us. But the only caution, because he has cautioned the media houses, and I know you cannot respond to them the way I can respond to them.
Yeah. You're talking for media houses.
I am now talking on your behalf.
Oh.
Because we are friends, we are partners. The things we cannot say, I will say them.
Okay.
We shall not attempt to take Kenya back to the dark ages. We shall not allow them, not for 1 minute, not for 1 second, to take us back to the dark ages, to the dark era of Moism and the Kanu regime. We buried that time. If they're dreaming that time will ever come again, they're dreaming, and they'll keep on dreaming until they die. Because the truth will kill them. They are soon going to die. Then,
What do you think they hoped to achieve?
I think you see, it is some intimidation.
Oh.
They think they can intimidate the media. But they forget to appreciate the fact that we are not living in the dark era, dark ages. That they don't know that there are millions of Kenyans who are recording. There are millions of Kenyans who can share information, not only locally, but even internationally. In fact, they should be more worried about not the mainstream media, because they are a bit cautious of what you release to the public. The public doesn't care. The public has information. Managing the public can be a challenge. So they should be more concerned about the millions of gadgets that Kenyans are currently holding and the ability to communicate with the external world. That should be their worry.
Okay.
So their worry should not lay, they should not lay their worry in the mainstream media because you're born to follow the regulations and the act that allows you to operate. They should be more worried about educating the masses so that the masses take and put Kenya first.
Okay.
Okay? Because once you have the masses believing that Kenya belongs to us, they'll be the first ones. They'll be at the forefront to protect our sovereignty, to protect this country, and to protect ourselves and defend ourselves.
Yeah.
So the defense is not them gagging the mainstream media. The defense is on educating the people the importance of putting Kenya first. The second highlight, Jed, is the statement that came from His Excellency, the President William Ruto, where he said he was struggling, I could see, he was struggling to remind us that he is fully in charge. You know, when you have sired a child and a child is yours, you cannot doubt yourself. But when you start doubting, you say, you know, this one looks like my great-great-grandfather.
Yeah.
You are doubting yourself.
Yeah.
You are not sure of yourself. I think William Ruto happens to be in that space. He's doubting his legitimacy.
Yeah.
He is not sure whether people actually believe that he's the president, and therefore it's affecting him. So he has to keep on reminding us that he's in charge. You see, then I asked myself a question. The other day I drove round on Tuesday when the Gen Zs, you people, threatened to lock down the country, and you did, to some extent, you did. I mean, the businesses were closed, the counties were not able to operate, 23 counties were not able to operate. So there was a shutdown. Roads were closed. I can tell you, Aborotam was closed because I went there. Dennis Street was closed because I was there. And then there's a letter trying to silence the media. And then we have military presence in, in our towns and counties.
Yeah.
When you are in charge, do you hand over an operation like that one to the military when you are fully in charge? Because you can only be fully in charge when people believe in you. People believe that your presidency is legitimate. But when they think it's illegitimate, then you find yourself in that space that the president is finding himself. And then, of course, it reminded me of, I can't remember who it was, but there's this person, I try and remember his name, but this person who said that, when you find a king struggling to remind you that he is legitimate, he's struggling to remind you that he's legitimate, then he's not a king, because he's doubting his kingship.
Yeah.
Okay? Because when you're a king, you're a king. When you're a king, you must be a true king. But when you have challenges, then you must keep on trying to reaffirm yourself, trying to assure yourself that you are indeed in charge. And the final one, Jed, the unfortunate statement issued by my friend Dr. Mwaura, the spokesman.
Yeah.
There are so many of them, I even get confused. Which spokesman? Spokesman this one, spokesman that one.
Yeah.
There are too many of them.
Last time I told you don't call them your friends because
There are too many.
now they are not happy with you.
I'm also not very happy with them.
Yeah.
And we are many of us who are not happy with them. Yeah. So that cancels. They are not happy with me, I'm not happy with them. So it cancels.
Yeah.
So we're okay, we're good.
Yeah.
But they keep on putting so much emphasis on the economic impact as a result of the current challenges we're facing. In fact, Mwaura mentioned about the economy losing 6 billion shillings. They seem to be putting so much weight on the money lost, which is important. We don't want our economy to be destroyed. But what about the lives that have been lost? Even 6 billion is not sufficient to compensate one human being.
Yeah.
It's not adequate.
Yeah.
You can't compensate a human being. So stop talking about the financial losses that we've experienced.
Yeah.
In any event, if you make losses, you can recoup the losses. But when you lose a life, you cannot bring back a life.
Yeah.
This is a total different thing.
This is also the conversation with the president, remember, when he was being interviewed and was just mentioning about property and not the people who had passed away.
Most unfortunate. It tells you who you're dealing with. Because if you're putting so much emphasis on money, yet they are human beings, not animals, not domestic animals, human beings who have lost their lives. To make it worse, these are children who had a very bright future. Some of them as young as 12 years old are dead, buried, and you're talking about money. It's the most unfortunate thing that this current administration can be talking about. They should be talking about lives. They should be condoling with the families that have lost their dear ones. They should be telling us how they will ensure that we do not lose even one more life through police brutality. Money we can recover.
Yeah.
You lose money today, you make money tomorrow.
But life?
But life lost, can you return life? That is how expensive life is. They don't seem to understand. We seem to be, my late father-in-law said, we've been talking about so many things in this country, about social justice, about democracy, about corruption. But my late father-in-law said, I have spoken to you. And even if you pretend you have not heard, like a stone, I have spoken. We have spoken, and the things we've been talking about for the last 1 year have come to pass.
My conversation today at Philip Kisia's home is about the way out, the solution, because everyone is talking about Ruto must go. That's actually the hashtag, Ruto must go. But what we saw yesterday at Jaramogi Odinga Foundation, when Kalonzo Musyoka was giving the Azimio resolution, after ODM had given theirs, saying, look, they support dialogue. Kalonzo did not even make his speech. It forced, after Raila Odinga and ODM bigwigs left, goons came in, kicking out media practitioners from the place. Kisia, I want us to talk about the solution. What is fueling this protest? But first, let's talk about the recent happening at Jaramogi Odinga Foundation. Raila is calling for dialogue. Is it high time you have this national dialogue? Is it the solution to what is happening in the country?
Jed, I have profound respect for Raila, okay? Because I've worked with him during the Grand Coalition, and therefore he was actually my boss, one of my bosses. He is my party leader, and I've said it, and I want to be on record, that Raila's contribution towards opening up the democratic space in this country is unmatched. You cannot match it. That's a fact of life, and we must live with it, okay? Nobody, maybe the ones who left before him, Martin Shikuku, his own father, Jaramogi, maybe Rubia, and the rest. But those who are currently still breathing, Raila stands out. However, I am of the view that he needs to navigate very, very carefully. With the wealth of experience that Raila has, I still think that he needs to be a bit more careful. Because, see, I've said it before, and I think I said it during the last interview. Raila salvaged Kibaki. And thank God, Kibaki is a gentleman. He kept most of his promises. They worked very well. In fact, the Grand Coalition government is one government that will be remembered for many years to come because of the foundation, a strong foundation they laid in this country. Then he salvaged again Moi. Okay, it was about to collapse. He salvaged Moi. We have things to talk about Moi's regime which are positive, but there are many which were negative. Many of them negative things that happened, bad things that happened. Then he savaged again Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta. It was necessary for him to do that because, again, the country at all those moments were at the bridge of collapse. Okay? So it was necessary for him to intervene and come and provide leadership. Now, this is another regime, and we find ourselves in a worse situation than we were before. And there is need for him, of course, as an elder, as a statesman, to come in and provide wisdom and guidance. But this time round, the pressure from the youthful population, millions of them who have no jobs, who have nothing to do, who are well educated, who are restless, and who have been made helpless and hopeless by this current regime, may not give Raila space. That's my worry.
That's the unfortunate situation that we're looking at.
That is my biggest worry. It is not about the goons who came, because how many are they? A handful of them?
Yes.
Who came and disrupted, which is unfortunate, came and disrupted Kalonzo Musyoka's speech
Yes.
or presser.
Yeah.
Okay? The question is, how are we going to deal with millions of youth who are restless, who are hopeless, who are helpless, who believe that they have nothing to lose because they have nothing right now. They have lost even hope.
Oh, you have nothing to lose because
They have
you
nothing
have
to
nothing.
lose. They have nothing. If you listen to most of them, they're saying, you know what? We have nothing to lose. We have nothing. Okay? And therefore, if these people think that they through the dialogue, proposed dialogue, whatever they're calling it, will stop us from doing what we're doing, they need to address the issues the youth are talking about. And the issues the youth are talking about are valid. They are valid, Jed. Because what are the youth asking for? The youth are saying that the previous regimes have been corrupt, but this one is overly corrupt. That the previous administrations have mismanaged the economy, but these ones have been terribly worse. They are bad. You know? I mean, then they are talking about, you know, let us have an accountable and transparent government. This one is shrouded in a lot of mystique. They are operating in darkness. And the youth are saying, no, we are coming with a spotlight. We are not going to give you space. We want a transparent, and you must be accountable to us. And we are not giving you space. Then they are saying, we also just want you to ensure that there is equity. Yeah? There is fairness. There is equality. There is integrity with the people that you appoint to run the affairs of their government, because it is their government. So they are just saying, please, provide us with the leadership that can address the issues that we are talking about. You know, anything short of what the Gen Z and the millennials are fighting for will fall flat on our faces. So let us not direct our energies in the wrong place.
Is that what you feel Raila is doing?
Kalonzo Musyoka and the rest are not the problem. The challenge is with the 70% of the population. If we don't address their needs, even if you silence Kalonzo, even if you silence the 20 or so percent of the population, there is a restless 70% that will still give you nightmares.
Well, what do you think about this restless youth that you've said very clearly they have nothing to lose because they don't have anything, compared to other generations that have been there before? Because the conversation in the country is as if your generation has been sleeping and your generation has failed us. What do you talk about your generation when it comes to this liberation that we are looking at this current time?
You see, Jed, you must compare an apple to an apple. And you can't say that our generation failed. There was a measure of success. But when you're compare an apple to an apple. You know, times change. The challenges that were there during our time are not the same challenges that are confronting this current generation, the two generations. Okay? When we went to school, by the time you're finishing A level, you would at least get some work to do. Okay?
Yeah.
Maybe not a very high-paying job, but you'll find a job to do.
Yeah.
And you didn't need to know anybody. You would walk to industrial area, maybe BAT or so on, or Coca-Cola, and they'll give you some work.
Yeah.
Okay? And you start earning, or you go and become what we used to call UT, and trained teacher, and teach and earn some money. The population was quite manageable. But right now, the population has grown. Things have changed. Lifestyle has changed. Okay? There's been heavy migration from rural areas to towns and cities and urban areas. So the challenges are quite different. Okay? Most of the population right now is better informed.
Oh.
Yeah, it's better informed. Most of the population right now, compared to our generation, we are analog. These ones are, are tech savvy.
Yes.
So you see, we had our own successes at that time. Okay? We also equally had our own failures. But the beauty is, you people, millennials and Gen Z, you at least have parents you can learn from.
Oh.
And most of the parents that I know in our generation are fairly open, fairly transparent. Okay? They are willing to engage. Not like during our times. Our times, you could not question your folks. What they said was right, even when it was wrong.
Yeah.
But right now, when we are wrong, we admit at least we are wrong.
Yeah.
So we have created a foundation for you people. Build from that foundation. You are not starting from zero. You are starting from somewhere. A few of us who had opportunity to provide leadership in the public space have been a letdown. And that we accept and we take responsibility. And we have apologized on their behalf. So going forward, the two generations pick up from where we have the foundation that we have laid, just make Kenya better. And that is why most of us are supporting and are fully behind the two generations, the millennials and Gen Z. Because a country is made for the people. It's for the people. If we mess with this generation, the two generations, if we mess up with them, we completely destroy them. We'll not have a future. We'll not have a country.
Rightly put there. I want to get back to the president, because our conversation for today, we agree we're talking about solutions. Because we're looking at extrajudicial killings in this country. We're looking at abductions, right? We saw what we were looking at on Tuesday when people were protesting, tear gas in town. We saw someone who was shot in the eye, came back again. Is the solution Ruto must go, Kisia? But even before you answer me that question, listen to Mother Karua saying about Anguke now, how history will remember William Ruto.
All this traction Kenya is getting because what is being done is good. Just asking for accountability. And I have a positive message for William Ruto. You can redeem yourself, and history will remember you kindly. Let's seize this moment to transform Kenya. Give way. Let Kenyans tuanguke nayo.
Kisia, we're facing a lot. Mata Karua says, Anguka now, just go, history will remember you kindly. How would you address the solution to what we are looking at? Even if we're talking about the police, you're talking about the protesters, talking about goons. Should Ruto just resign?
It's an option. It's actually an option. And there are many options that are available to President Ruto. That's one of them, that he resigns. But in resigning, we must be a bit careful how he resigns and what the Constitution says if he resigns. And that is why even I'm saying that I as Philip Kisia, I support some sort of engagement. But that agenda must be agreed by all stakeholders, including the Gen Z.
They must feel that there's need to
They
talk.
must, what they are put on the table, their demands they are put on the table must be part of that discussion. And one of the points they are put on the table is that Ruto must resign.
Oh.
You cannot ignore it. 70% are saying the president has to resign.
Yeah.
So if you are discussing, that's a subject that you cannot avoid. It must be put on the table. And in discussing, we'll come up with a solution. Let me be hypothetical. That Ruto resigns. If he resigns, then what next? The same constitution that we have sworn, all of us sworn to defend, automatically propels Rigathi Gachagua into the presidency, or becoming a president. The question that we must be asking ourselves, is that the solution? Is it the solution? Maybe, maybe not. Okay? So, and that is why there's need to have some form of discussion, but with an agenda that is all agreed by all the stakeholders. Resign is an option. It is how he resigns. I have said before that there's an opinion that was given by Emeritus Justice Maraga, Chief Justice Maraga. We said, even as we sit here today, the current parliament is not properly constituted. So using that opinion, he can actually dissolve parliament. And he's within the law. He will not have offended any law. He will not have offended the constitution. So he can actually send these people home. Because if you look at even the surveys, most Kenyans are saying that this parliament is rogue, that this parliament has failed, this parliament is castrated, they must go home. Not yesterday, today. Actually yesterday. They are saying, take them home.
Yes.
So let him use that opinion that has been given. Once that has been done, but before that is done, because if you send parliament away, and they're the ones who are supposed, using the same constitution to form IBC.
Yeah.
Because we must use the parliamentary route.
Yes.
Unless we're saying we suspend the constitution. If we were to use legal means, first of all, we constitute an IBC that is acceptable across board. Okay? Not one that like the one we had, that put this country in the mess that we find ourselves today. That will take care, that will organize elections in accordance with the constitution. So once that one is done, and any other matter that needs to be dealt with by parliament is done, parliament must be willing to go home.
Yeah.
Okay, but the president can dissolve it. Once he has dissolved parliament, he doesn't have a cabinet. Yeah? Although now he has made my friend Musalia in charge of all the ministries.
Yes.
But that's not government. He has no government as we speak. Once parliament is home, if he resigns, how can Gachagua be president? He'll be president of what? Which parliament? Which executive? He is nothing. So they all must go home. Okay? So I think the question is, how can we send him home in a very neat manner, that even him will go with his head up? And I think that's what Martha is saying, that how can he exit, but with the head up? I think that's the discussion that we need to have as Kenyans.
Yeah.
The other one, of course, now is to address all other issues that have been put on the table by everybody. The Gen Z, millennials, religious leaders, business, and all Kenyans. Put those issues on the table and negotiate. We negotiate on what is possible and what may not be possible, because if he implemented, it has other repercussions.
Yeah. Okay?
Because, of course, probably we don't want to get into a situation like Sudan found themselves in, like South Sudan and Egypt and so on. We would want to avoid that one.
Yes.
But even that one is an option. People even fear to say, okay, there are cases where, like Burkina Faso, where the military took over.
Yes.
And if it has been a success story in Burkina Faso, which it is. These are matters in the public domain. I think it's a success.
Yes.
Okay? It's another avenue. So what I'm saying is that we need to sit down and have a candid discussion as Kenyans. What can we do to save this country? Because it is at the brink of collapse.
You know, back of my mind, I'm thinking, can Ruto salvage himself? Can he redeem himself without resigning? Is there a platform of doing the right thing now?
You see, Ruto, from where I sit, he had an opportunity to redeem himself. Okay? He had that opportunity. But in my honest view, that opportunity is gone. In my view. So the best case scenario, in my view, he can hold on to power. He'll be a very weak president, hang on to power until 2027. That is also possible. Now with the intervention of other players coming in, it is possible that he can hang on. He can hang on because we have, 2 more years to election. So he can hang on.
Yes.
But at what cost? Okay? It's a possibility.
You know, now they have banned,
it's a possibility
they have
that
banned protests in Nairobi. And
you see, that's another thing that, you see, he can hang on using the military, he can hang on using the police. But the truth of the matter is that people are saying that we don't recognize you as our president. So you can hang on using other instruments of power like the military and police and what have you. But do people recognize? Do you have the legitimacy? Do people recognize you? You know, when you don't have legitimacy, it doesn't matter what you do. Yeah? It is like a father in a homestead who has been rejected. When you walk in, people just keep quiet. In fact, that one is even, it's more traumatizing. If you're a human being, it's more traumatizing. That when you're walking in, people are laughing and talking. Then when you come, people keep quiet. It's more traumatizing.
Yeah.
At least if you're a human being,
Yes.
unless you're not one. So, to answer your question, Jed, yes, there's a possibility. But I can tell you, he will have another 2 years that are extremely rough. It will take a miracle. It will take a miracle for people, the majority of the population, to accept him. So probably with the measures that he has taken, like for example, although it was a bit belated, he sacked the cabinet, which I have said so many times, it was one of the most incompetent cabinet since independence. The most incompetent.
Since independence.
Since independence.
Yeah.
Actually, only 30% of them qualified to be in cabinet. The rest were as useless as I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he ended up with such people in cabinet.
Yeah.
You know, how can you encourage incompetence unless you fear competency? Yeah. So
you know, I'm thinking at the back of my mind about the president, giving in, from finance bill to cabinet to offices of the spouses who you've been talking about here for the past couple of months. But he also comes out and says, maybe Kenyans don't want anarchy. It's this Ford Foundation that is sponsoring, this is fueling this protest. What do you think of that? Are there opportunists that are now seeing Gen Z are not happy, so let's get in now, sponsor it, let's bring anarchy in Kenya?
You see, Jed, I think we need to be honest with each other. Ford Foundation has been here since independence, I think.
Yeah.
Okay? If they were to destabilize governments, they would have done destabilized governments that were there before. In fact, this presidency is so much in bed with the Americans. Ford Foundation is an American philanthropic institution. Okay? If you were keen, you must have seen our president dining and whining. I don't know if he was taking wine or water, but he was dining and whining.
In White House.
In White House with the Americans. And one of the person I saw there is George Soros. George Soros is known to fund, I'm not saying activities
Yeah.
that impact negatively on a country,
Yeah.
but he funds activities. He funds NGOs.
Yes. It was actually the son at White House, yes.
Okay, George Soros.
Yes.
So if he was seen at the White House, they must have had a discussion before they started wining and dining. Okay, how can then you, a few weeks down the line, you sit down and start blaming? You start blaming
Ford Foundation.
Ford Foundation.
Yes.
Ford has been here for some time. In fact, I remember Ford Foundation, when we started to talk about police reforms, and I'm the one with my team who started police reforms in Kenya. Community policing in Kenya was started in 1999, November, by NCBDA, when I was the chairman. Okay? And when the police, that was called the police force, was so brutal, was so backward, they were operating with a lot of impunity. Given the old constitution, it is actually Ford Foundation who came, because I went there and made a proposal, say, you know what, I need to do two things for Nairobi. The first thing that I must do is to make Nairobi secure. To make Nairobi a home for everybody. To make Nairobi clean. Therefore, we need institutional reforms in two institutions. The first one, Kenya Police. The second one was City Council of Nairobi. So the reform agenda in the police force that time was actually supported by Ford Foundation.
Okay.
Community policing was started by NCBDA. And it was funded by Ford Foundation. Okay? So if it was good that time, it cannot be bad now. Okay? City Council of Nairobi, urban regeneration of Nairobi, started with the NCBDA. It started with NCBDA in the year 2000 or end of 1999, when we started saying that we need, if we were to successfully carry out an urban regeneration program, we need to buy-in from City Hall. If we are to make Nairobi secure, we need buy-in from police. And who supported that effort? Who supported it?
Ford Foundation.
It's Ford Foundation.
Oh.
So if they were good that time, what would make them bad almost, I think, 30 years later? What would make them bad? They have been around.
Yeah.
The president was seen dining and wining with them. If there was any mistake that happened, he must take responsibility.
Okay, then I would want to know finally, because it's all about trust in William Ruto. That is the conversation. My thoughts are about what is fueling, because he's giving in. Does this mean people have completely lost trust? And is there a way now for people to come back and say, at least we've had a country? As you're putting your final thoughts, is there a way we can still salvage the country despite all this that is happening with the Gen Z protests?
You see, I must say, and we are probably, because you are, I think you are Gen Z.
Yeah.
You're better placed to answer this question than me. Because we are the people who are agitating for change. 70% of the population. They are saying we cannot trust President William Ruto. Maybe some of us can still give him some little space.
Yeah.
But you guys are so impatient. You are saying, you keep on there saying, no, this guy, we cannot trust him anymore. But to answer your question, the question was, what can we do as collectively as a people of Kenya? We need an open and transparent discussion as Kenyans. Okay? Around the table. And that round the table is not about you being the president. You must come to our level and say, we're all Kenyans. And we must find solutions for this country to move forward. Because it is our country. He is over 50. He actually is going to 60. In fact, I'm hoping that he can also retire in 2022 because he'll be over 60. He should also go home because he's pushing for people like me to go home. He should also go home. He should join us in retirement. But you see, there are certain things that even before we start any discussion that must take place. Number one on the table, Jed, he must make an unqualified apology to the people of Kenya. Jed, we've lost lives. We've lost lives. I know he's apologized, but have the families accepted the apology? Have Kenyans accepted the apologies? There are thousands of youth, innocent, who were on the streets with a flag, national flag, with a bottle of water, with a handkerchief, who were met with tear gas, who were met with bullets, who were beaten, who were maimed. Have they forgiven him? So we need really a genuine apology coming from. I think we still believe that his apology is not coming out genuinely. The other thing that we must do, even before any discussions are held, we must account for the lives that have been lost. They have been trying to hide numbers.
Oh.
Yes. Kenyans believe that there are more than 41 because keep on finding. People are lost. Some we are lucky to find them. Some may may never be found. They must find those people who are lost. We must account for each and every Kenyan who has been declared missing or who is dead and thrown maybe somewhere. We must account for those people. Those are human beings. You know, we talk about human beings, not wild animals that can die, and yes, we allow them to rot in the park. So that is critical before any discussion. The other thing, before any discussions are held, the president and his government, we are happy that he has fired the IG, Kome. But the one in charge of Nairobi, Bungei, and the rest, who were responsible, who oversaw the murder of our children, the shooting of our children, they were in charge. They must not only be fired from service, at the very least, they must be arrested and arraigned in courts. Because if they don't do that, you are not in power forever. Power is transient. They will face ICC one day. So that is another thing that must be done. Before even we talk about discussion, any meetings, or whatever, dialogue, whatever you call them. The other thing that the administration must do is to immediately stop brutal force, using brutal force on people, and issuing directives and orders that don't make sense. Where does the IG draw authority from to stop people from picketing or demonstrating CBD? Where does it draw his authority from? Yeah. So we must bring them to account. They must stop mutilating the Constitution. They must respect the Constitution of 2010. We don't have any other Constitution unless President Ruto is telling us that he has suspended the Constitution. The other thing, and I talk on your behalf, because I know you people cannot talk. Because, you receive threats. I'm 60 plus. Yeah. You can threaten me until I die. I don't care. Yeah. Okay? They must stop harassing and intimidating media. Abductions must stop. This commando style of kidnapping people, in front of their children, in front of their families. Yeah, the other day it was Gaido, a retired man. What can he do? His only ammunition is that he has got a brain. That's the only thing he has. So you want to kill his brain? He doesn't have a tear gas. He's not carrying stones. He has nothing. He doesn't have a rungu. The only thing he's beating you with is a brain. So even if you deal with the likes of Gaido and many other people you're dealing with, you have a very, very big job to do. Killing 50 million brains, over 50 million brains, killing them. or stopping them or gagging them
Yeah.
is impossible. Because let me tell you, Jed, when you look at our security formation, our entire security formation, military, police, prisons, okay?
Yeah.
They are less than 170,000. They are less, plus even the goons that they are getting from all over.
Yeah.
They are less than 170,000. We are 57 million Kenyans. How many of us are they going to kill? How many will they kill? They will fire. We shall come with stones. They will come with bullets. How many bullets can they fire? And kill over 57 million Kenyans. There are only 170,000 of them. They can use even bombs.
Yeah.
They can use whatever they want to use. The only thing I'm telling my president is that you cannot kill a spirit. It is impossible to kill the spirit. And from what I see, these youth are so determined to bring change that you can only save yourself by changing.
What a place. These youth are so determined to bring change that you can only save yourself by changing. That is Philip Kisia Unscripted this particular Thursday. Very cold here in Nairobi. It has been sunny while you're speaking. But Kisia, final words to Kenyans who are thinking, well, protest after protest every Tuesday and Thursday. You've said people must change. But final word this particular day.
Jed, you see, President Ruto must stop blame games. He asked for the job to be president. He was given. So having this imaginary enemy, now is throwing in Ford Foundation. It was Uhuru Kenyatta. It was Raila. Now he's talking to my party leader Raila. Then maybe tomorrow he say it is Philip Kisia. He is having illusions, imaginary enemies. The enemy is actually himself. What I am advising him to do, do the right thing, govern in accordance with the Constitution until the time you leave office. If it's tomorrow, fine. If it's 2027, fine. But please, don't make a mistake of making any attempt to govern this country away from the Constitution. Because that one, and I mean that one, will be a disaster.
Well, Philip Kisia Unscripted right here on Herman Manyora's platform. Share this video with as many people as possible so that it gets to those that are in power, because things are becoming worse as days progress. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.